Emery saying it's an option for the future that he may switch things around a little bit. The players are capable of doing it, but at the moment it's all about sticking with the plan, about sticking with the clear method that he's trying to implement. So which players are best suited to the Emery style?
Well, I think obviously Guendouzi's obviously suited. You know, he wins the ball and he keeps it. And he tries to set off attacks with it, whereas you look at someone like Xhaka, who is actually doing the opposite. He's getting caught on it. He's misplacing passes. And I think the other day, rightly, at half-time, which he may not have seen under Arsene Wenger, got taken off. I think Iwobi will be fine with it. I think he's got the energy, the skill, and I think he's got he gets in the box, he can score a goal like we saw. He's somebody that could thrive. Mkhitaryan, I think he could do it as well, simply because, you know, he's got the skill, he's got the energy, but he's got to get back and help Bellerin. I think Bellerin's been a little bit left open, and it's really not looking good from his point of view, because he's looking very, very ropey at the moment, if I'm going to be totally honest. And then obviously Petr Cech, you know, is somebody, when you look that you've got Bernd Leno in the wings, who is somebody that is not bad with his feet. I always think that goalkeepers saw bad their hands, but not anymore, because Petr Cech makes saves. So you have to feel for Petr Cech, because at some stage this guy's probably going to get his chance. And, you know, it just looks to me that they've still just got a bit of work to do, because I felt that there was times in the midfield, especially for Morata's goal. You know, I think the defence have got to recognise, it's something that they should be working on in training, that if somebody's got that kind of possession halfway in his half with no closing down, you cannot be on the halfway line. You've got to drop back, especially when you've got someone with Morata's pace. And when you sort that out, and then you can try to play out like we did, because Chelsea dropped off a little bit then. That's why we got that goal where we had the 19 passes. Arsenal have shown that they've got the capability of getting through a team.
Yeah, I look at it and I thought, was it Chelsea taking the foot off the pedal a little bit for Arsenal to get into it? And at times, yes, they did play through Chelsea. But what I think worries me is the fact that he wants them to go really wide and high, and he wants to play out. And sometimes I think he got shown up a little bit with Man City, more so, I think, towards the end against Chelsea. Because Man City really pressed high. And it became a little bit to the fact where the Arsenal fans, after about 6 times, I think they tried to play out, it went back to Petr Cech or whatever, and it came out and he put it down and he pushed them up and they cheered. So we could sense you're going to get caught here. And, you know, there's a time and a place, I think, of wanting your players to do certain things, and then putting the ball forward and realising this is getting too risky here. And I think it's just getting that balance right. The personnel that you talked about is interesting. I think what they lack is pace at the back, big time with the 2 centre-halves. Yeah. Mustafi is not quick enough.
This is why you think that he'd recognise.
Quick enough.
How are you going to give someone like Morata that kind of space to run into?
And I think he wants them to be tight together, high, and then when he's got it nice and wide and deep, very difficult to do that and make it all happen. And I looked at it and I look at Mkhitaryan, Ozil, whether or not they actually want to do that defensive role, because that's what they want him to do. And I think you recognise that against Man City, how painful it was for the 2 fullbacks, because these 2 didn't quite want to help.
No, they didn't come back.
And they left them a little bit isolated. Maitland-Niles, I felt sorry for him. Mahrez, and you got Walker overlapping. And then on the other side, Mendy. Sterling, Mendy. But then they've done it a little bit better against Chelsea, I thought. But
this is what I'm saying, Dan. I think that Chelsea, for some reason, they dropped off. And we're trying to play out from the back. And I'm not sure if Mustafi and Socrates are the players to do that in respects of confidence, because yes, Manchester City will pass it to Stones and Laporte, and they're not bothered about people coming with time, because they'll give it back to a goalkeeper who doesn't mind passing it there if it comes back, and you know, to the point where the crowd are going, "Ah, you've got them," and then bang, they're out and they're into you. They're into you, because I thought with Chelsea as well, once they got past that first line, there were so many massive holes. Chelsea in space they were given, and could get round the side and get in the back of them.
The interesting thing, right, that he says he's going to stick to obviously what he believes in, and it was funny how things, you know, Sarri goes to Chelsea and he's changed the system or what. Conte done, and Conte changed his system from a 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3.
Right.
You know, after a certain amount of games because it wasn't working. So it'd be interesting. It was 3-0, wasn't it? So it'd be interesting now to see how long he will go with the performances they're having. And I think the only thing you've got to look at it...
With Conte there, though, that he was letting the players play how they wanted to at the beginning,
First of all,
and then implementing his methods later
ideas.
on, once it went
so you kind of want them to... You want them to do well, but you want them to not to go as well as you want, and then you can implement what you want. But he's just gone in and go, right, I'm doing it like this. And that's the decision I've made. And then you've got to look at... He's going to analyse all the players and say, right, this one can do it, that one can't do it. He's going to give them a chance by the looks of it, but this is my system, this is where I'm going to play. You can't do it, you can do it. And therefore, let's see. And then I will work it out then. But how long it will be allowed to go like that, it will be interesting to actually see and for him to see, you know what, I'm going to allow it to go for 10 games. I'm going to see how it works out. But you've got to be careful because there's certain things that Arsenal need to achieve by the end of the season and you don't want to be too far away. But the other thing you've got to look at, they did play Man City and they have played Chelsea. And they've got West Ham coming up at home. I'm expecting them to get a result against West Ham.
Because you look at their statistics from the opening 2 games, and they are skewed, as you said, because they played against Manchester City and because they played against Chelsea. So in terms of goals, they're sort of mid-table-ish, you know, they're not great for shots or shots on target or any of those things. Not too badly for key chances created, particularly given that they played against Manchester City and Chelsea. Is progress for Arsenal this season, though? I mean, Dennis is talking about the targets that they'll have for the season. How they perform in these 2 games later in the season, in the reverse fixtures?
Without a doubt, because they've got a run of games coming up where you'd like to think that, like we saw in spells against Chelsea, if you do drop off them, they'll pass the ball around you, and they have got people who can get in the box and score. You saw the amount of chances that Arsenal created, and unfortunately for Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan, they missed them, and even Iwobi, who scored one in the end, and Mkhitaryan scored one. But the fact is that I think that Arsenal, they will get more confidence doing it. It's still going to come to me down to, from the back, playing out, centre-halves having the confidence to play it back to him, to try and get it into a Guendouzi, who can maybe get it to Ozil, if it's going to be Ozil or Ramsey, then we could start getting our pace into the team.
They've always been good at that. Arsenal have always been good at breaking teams down in that kind of way, always. From this part forward, I think they've always been quite good at that. But it's the back part
That's
of
the
it
thing, what people are going to
has always been a
with.
problem. Yeah. And I think Liechtenstein and Socrates haven't solved that problem. And that's where I looked, and I was interested to see, you see the signings. Guendouzi who's come in, I think the boy looks like he can really play. The only thing with him, I think he can get caught defensively because he's young, and I think a couple of times it happened. With the Man City game, Aguero goes through, completely misses it, and it's just about timing and being in the right place. That he will learn. I really like him, but I think your problem is always going to be this at the back, and I think you will concede goals for sure.
I think that but we always do. But the fact is that I think that with him and Torreira, who's still to come in and really make a stance, and I think that it'd probably be them too, because I think that they will be the ones who are more confident about being able to get the ball in those areas and be confident enough to turn and try and play. Whereas you look at it at the moment, someone like Xhaka, it's frightening me at the moment if it goes to him, because his confidence seems shot. But what was good and encouraging is that he made those substitutions, big substitutions for me. Xhaka probably would have stayed on under Wenger, so would Ozil. And what that said now in the dressing room is no one's going to be safe. If you don't do what we need you to do, you're coming off. And I was pleased to see that.
I think he's done that with Ramsey.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, Ramsey in the contract situation, you know, I'm desperate for him to sign. But if he doesn't, I'd use him until he doesn't sign. But like, if he doesn't sign, and why should he? His agents would probably be saying, when we saw Ozil. You know, Ozil strung it out, and you know what I mean? We're not talking about somebody who's been pulling up trees for Arsenal and got exactly what he wanted. So why should Ramsey not try and do the same thing?
No, mate, you're right. I do, and I think Ramsey's a quality player. You know, he's a player that he's always been able to score goals for Arsenal, create things. He's been up and down with injuries, But I think he's someone that I think Arsenal need to keep and not
that's
allow
it.
to go.
Yeah.
And I think what he's doing at the moment, I think he said at the start of the season, we really want him to stay. And I think because of what's going on, it can affect a player. And you can see that by subbing him when he subbed him and then leaving him out. Because sometimes when your contract scenario's going on, you think it's best, is he concentrated fully on what he needs to do? Shall I take him out? I really want him to sign. And sometimes that can push the player into going, you know, I do want to sign, I do want to get the right thing for me. But that's something that they need to sort out quickly.
I want to ask you the question that Dennis asked earlier on, because we've asked it about Emery. How long do you give him to implement his methods? But with the players, we've seen him lose patience with them in the course of 90 minutes. How long have they got, as far as the season's concerned, before Emery starts to lose patience with the ones who can't do it his way?
Well, it's something that it's going to be a massive problem for him, because I don't know if he's going to get the kind of monies that he's going to need to make the signings that's going to kind of hopefully help him in the positions that he's going to need. That's why I was very surprised with the goals that were conceded and I say the way that they were conceded, that high line, you know what I mean, with no pressure on the ball, is something that I can't get out of my head. So those things, for me, have got to be eradicated. Then you've got to get yourself to the next transfer window, and hopefully you can get somebody that might be able to come in and then implement what you want to do more. Because I think he's going to need a few players to come in who are used to playing like that, because I don't think that a lot of them are.